Caitlyn Clark said she misses March. She said that in the midst of an Iowa loss to Ohio State. Clark was courtside again. This time, she was the least feisty part of the festivities after she had been seen, not so happy with referees in the previous game. But there is a lot of eyes on Iowa. And you see that happening, obviously, through Clark's influence. So she can say she misses March. And fans feel the same way, right? Who doesn't miss Caitlyn Clark playing for Iowa at this time of year, though she so quickly went into the WNBA. Everyone got so accustomed to seeing her play for the Indiana Fever. That's such a fast transition. Then it's going to be a tough transition, or it always was, for Iowa to move on from the Caitlyn Clark era. But they've done a pretty good job, had a solid season, and it seems like they're still garnering attention. Obviously, it helps when Clark is in the building for their games. Anyhow, the game I'm talking about was the Big Ten tournament. As I mentioned, Caitlyn Clark there for the interview. Here's what she had to say before we get into the rest of the action, since I just summarized some of it. This was Caitlyn Clark's comments.
Well, Kayla, the last time we saw you at a Big Ten tournament, you were capping 3 straight wins, the most outstanding player, and here you are in your new home with the Fever. How surreal is this for you?
It's pretty fun, and I love getting to be able to support this program. And obviously, a lot of these girls were my teammates, and getting to see Jan in her first year, and they're playing their best basketball right now. So just get to be supportive of them, and I love this time of the year, March. I miss it, so it's fun getting to support them.
So that was part of what Caitlyn Clark had to say. She also went on to praise Jan Jensen's competitiveness and the culture at Iowa, say they play basketball the right way, a bunch of stuff like that. Of course, positive and compliments from Clark toward her old college. Who would have expected otherwise? Some of the other stuff wasn't as complimentary in this game. Another tight loss for Iowa, another one you could argue the officiating played into. Sydney Fulter after the game.
A couple different scenarios, and I thought they called the foul on Hannah. They could have called that one. I don't know. We got 2 pretty decent looks, and that's all we can ask for.
I know this has got to sting, but how long do you dwell on this, or how much do you flush this before it kind of?
So it's cut off there, obviously, but she clearly wasn't thrilled with the officiating in the game, which has been a common theme with the Iowa games. The common theme, a lack of late whistles or whistles going the wrong way. That was the end of the UCLA game comes into my mind as well. Iowa had their chances in this one, of course, as she mentioned too. I don't think you can put it squarely on the shoulders of the officiating, but a good tournament run for Iowa regardless. Then there was some other comments that were made that are sure to garner a little attention as well. These coming from Cody McMahon of Ohio State, who said that the Hawkeyes were disrespectful.
Over the last 3 years, you've had some absolute battles with Iowa. What is it about that team that brings out the competitive fire in you guys?
Not going to get into it all the way, but let's just say they're a little disrespectful as far as, how they view us. So we take that personal. I take that personal. I like to fight on the court. I have that dog in me. So I go out there and prove it. And yeah. Honestly, just one game at a time. I was a great team. I'll give it to them, credit 1,000%. But, we just stay poised and doing what we do. Don't let them get too hot on the outside, on the 3. We do that. We're going to be fine. Offense will come, but our defense is what we've been needing to focus on.
I'm not sure exactly what she meant by how they view us, so I'm not going to, render a guess because I don't want to put words in her mouth. But that, that's a comment that's going to be taken a certain way by Iowa fans, no question, right? That's not up for debate. That's going to be taken a certain way by Iowa fans. Nonetheless, I think Hawkeye fans are probably proud of the team right now and where they've gotten to. And again, I've made this point, but now it feels like so long ago, but it was actually very recent that this Iowa team was trotting out Caitlyn Clark and was trotting out Kate Martin. And heck, Lisa Bluder was the coach of the team, right? And all of that has changed in a year's time. And yes, the impact on the program is great, right? Like the fact that they're now feel like a national program, feel like a program that can move the needle even without Caitlyn Clark, again, helps when she's courtside. But that's great. But from just a, pure wins and losses standpoint, it's difficult to replace or impossible to replace what they lost from one season to the next. But even Lisa Bluder couldn't pick Iowa to win the Big Ten tournament. She was on the broadcast the other day, or she was being interviewed the other day, I think it was, and she went with USC. So when even Lisa Bluder can't bring herself to pick Iowa, they were, did about as well, I guess, as you could expect them to do. That's the way to put it. About as well as you could expect them to do, which is what happened with Iowa in this Big Ten tournament, even if it was a little bit of a bitter loss, if you will. This was Bluder picking USC the other day. I mean, a smart pick, a wise pick. Juju Watkins went off again in the Big Ten tournament in their win over Indiana.
How does it feel being here and not coaching?
It's very strange. I got through the year really well, but being here, and the adrenaline of a tournament and what that means, and this, it's March and that time of year, everybody loves that time of year. So it just makes you miss a little bit.
And how do you feel about watching Iowa tonight, and what is your expectation?
Well, I think they're going to do great. I think we've beaten Wisconsin 30 or 31 straight times, so I feel good about the game. But Wisconsin's much better. They really are. I think we only, didn't beat them by that much on our home court just the last game. But it's going to be fun to watch Iowa. I'm so happy for Jan and everything that she's doing with the team. And, I recruited these women, so I want them to do well.
If I were to ask you today, your pick to win this tournament, who would that be?
I have to go with USC. I know that's kind of a boring, one, but I mean, just because I think that's who everybody's picking, but I do think they're probably the best team.
And are you going to catch up with Caitlyn while you're here?
I had dinner with her last night, so yes.
That was from On Her Turf. And obviously before Iowa played Wisconsin, Bluder was right about her prediction there. She very likely will wind up right about her USC prediction, as I said. But I don't know if anybody could have predicted the season going much better for Iowa than it has. Winning on the jersey retirement night when Caitlyn Clark was back in the building for that, winning a couple games in the Big Ten tournament, proving themselves to be a tournament team, proving themselves to be a team that's capable of getting the upsets as they did against USC, as they almost did against UCLA, come up a little short against Ohio State. But nonetheless, that's March Madness, right? That's what Caitlyn Clark was saying she misses.